Hello everyone. Well, it's Fleming here again. I am doing a video in the evening because I have some time to kill. I'm going to a Bible study tonight. A church I've never been to. We're going to go find out what it's like. Not too far from here. And I'm sitting around thinking, what could I do with my time? And it covers my topic. What do we do now? We're still waiting. We have not been raptured. How long do we wait? All these questions. Well, I still say we have to wait till Satan has things ready. But if you could ask Jesus right now, what do you want me to do? Well, we're going to look at the last thing he told us to do. Everybody. And we'll take a look at that. If you want to turn early to it, you're going to go to Matthew 28:19. It's our Great Commission. Every one of us. It's not just, it was meant to the disciples then to go out and spread the gospel. And then once you get the gospel and you get the Spirit, it's your job then to share that. And too many people have stopped doing that. That's why the numbers are dwindling. It's happening around, the world that numbers are dwindling. Certain areas where there hasn't been a gospel are thriving right now because people are hungry for it. They've never had it. But in areas where we've had it, people are spoiled. The great apostasy is probably in the United States, more so than any place. Other major developed countries. But you got to read the rest of the message. You got to read verse 20 as well. And lo, I am with you always, and I will be till the end of the age. Jesus will never abandon us, even though we may choose to abandon him. I don't think this bench up here swings, but I'm going to go sit down. If I can sit there. The sun's peeking through the trees. I might not be able to. I have a neighbor. You saw him before. He's still here. And another neighbor. It's that time of year. And they're doing more decoration over here. And you saw that stuff before too. Things don't change. Things never change. But it's like, what do we do? How can we deal with this? Everybody has the Great Commission laid on their lap. I was just watching Mike Rowe. He was being interviewed on a Fox News channel probably. He's too smart and conservative for the left to put on any of their channels. But I was reminded that we've got, the way that the government keeps track of numbers. They started back in the Depression and they came up with this unemployment number. And it's always been an algorithm that they, a formula that they put together, which means it's not straight numbers. They play with it. Every president and his team have played with those numbers since the Great Depression. If they tell you unemployment is, 1 or 2%, that's the fudged number. The original number might be 20%, but they come up with enough numbers to mess with the formula. But there's roughly in the United States 7.5 million unemployed people who have basically just stopped looking. And that's how they fudge the number. If you have not applied for unemployment, if you've not gone out and looked for work, well, you must not want to work. So if you don't want to work, we don't need to put you on the unemployment list. We'll take you off of it. Thank you very much. So the 7.5 million that are sitting at home with nothing to do. Maybe they're online, maybe they're doing social media stuff like I am. I did work a couple of months ago, I think it was my last job. But this is a job. I work for God every day. But out of those 7.5 million, how many are doing what I'm doing? I can't think very many. And they also said on that interview that there's 10 million jobs available. So there's no excuse. If you need a job, there's a job out there for you. I'm not working because I'm retired. I'm almost 70. I don't need to work. I have my Social Security until that runs out. The way our government's spending, that could be tomorrow. I don't know. I'm not worried. And I have a small pension until that runs out. Same thing. It's indefinite until it runs out of money. I can survive, but the average person probably can't. I've got my outdoor skills that I can live on. And I don't live in a city. I have, but I don't now, and I don't want to anymore, especially during these times. If you're in a city, get your bug out planned. Carry stuff in your car, in the trunk of your car. All the things you would basically need for 2 or 3 days. Food, clothing, water. And make sure you've got plenty of paper maps. I just experienced that last month when my phone died. I dropped it in. It was still working, but the screen was black. Can't use it if you can't see it. And I didn't have any paper maps in the car because I'd stopped using them years ago. Well, I went ahead and got some. I probably don't have everything because you remember long before GPS, we used to carry map books. And you have to buy them by region. Well, don't have those anymore. They may be out there, I don't know. But I haven't seen them. And I have long thrown mine away. Got a couple of people walking down the road, so I think I'm going to go ahead and get up, get back to walking. But you asked me, what can you do? Look for things to do. God has given us plenty. Find people. I've got people on my channel who are homebound. They could use someone to come and visit. If you're not homebound, find someone in need. Help them by doing their shopping. Help them by going and reading the Bible with them. There's plenty to do. You've never done that, you're afraid to do it. Go to your church and tell them you want to do it, but you're afraid. They probably already have a ministry like that and will assign you to someone to go with. You can follow along for a little while till you learn the ropes. Get to know your churches. I'm going to a new church tonight that I've never been to because I've never been to this state park before. My other state parks, a few months ago, I started going to churches that are close by, 5-10 minutes from the park. And this one I'm going to tonight is 5-10 minutes. And I'm going on a Wednesday night, not a Sunday. So you need to do the things that I do because I set examples to show you that there's no excuse. I'm camping and I'm still going to church. Am I helping people? Well, I hope my ministry here that you're watching is helping people. I pray that it does. I told Jesus that if I only had one viewer, I would keep doing this until he tells me to stop. And I told you a while back when I asked him, when does he want me to stop this? And he says, jokingly to me, God has a good sense of humor. He goes, I'm hoping you to catch a little bit of the rapture going up while you're videotaping. So that tells me how long I got to do this. Now, I don't look at that as bad. I don't look at that as work. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy being able to talk about Jesus, my favorite subject. So, unemployment is high. A lot of people home not working. You don't have to start a YouTube channel, but you certainly could. You can reach a lot more people this way. I'm turning around because those people on the road are probably past me. I got to be careful I don't get people's faces on my video so that somebody complains. That would be a reason that I could be sued or taken off the air. It's bad enough I got to watch every word I say to make sure that the thought police don't come down and restrict me. I'm a little concerned about tomorrow morning's video. We'll see how that goes. Let me know what you think. I get a few comments here and there, but for the number of views, I should have more likes and more comments. Be a part of this. People ask how they can contribute. Well, I do have a Patreon page, but you can also contribute to the top. Somewhere where you're watching this, it should say something along the line of money or contribute or something. I don't know. I don't look at that. But if you haven't got any money, I don't condemn you for that. If you like this page and you subscribe to my channel, you help boost this. I don't make a lot of money on this channel. It covers my internet expense. That's it. I don't buy gas with it. I don't go anyplace else. I don't make that much. Some of these channels that have tens of thousands of viewers probably make enough to hire one person. Yeah. Enough about me and enough about money. I don't like talking about either one of those because I am not a salesman. If you're led to do something, that's great. And until Social Security is taken away from me, God is providing. Okay, where did they go? Okay, they're way ahead of me now. They're going into the campsite that I'm heading for, so I can follow them and I'm far enough away. I'm here for another 9 or 10 days, whatever the time is left here. I am going to try to do a live video that I'm going to schedule as soon as I figure out how to schedule. One of the problems I have with live videos is I don't do them enough, so I forget what I'm supposed to do. And the last one I did entirely on my laptop. I didn't use my phone like I normally do. And it was good to be able to see your comments because I could see those alongside my screen. It's really hard on the phone to keep up with that. But now I got to deal with lighting. I did it at the end of the day, and the sun went down while I was talking. I don't know what time it is now, but I've got about another 2 hours of sunlight. Looking up at it, see, I can look at this sky and tell you how much sunlight I've got left. I can tell you which way is north. Well, I'm looking into the sun, so in the wintertime the sun is south, goes in a southerly arc. I see my tent. I may go ahead and wrap this up here, and then I'll switch for some bee footage and just walk into my campsite. I am the only tent in here. I had a good walk. My fit program that goes with this didn't do a very good job. What is this? This may be a turtle. A tortoise hole. So I'm going to show you that too. There's a couple of them here. Now if I was at my northern campsites, I'd say these are armadillo holes, but I haven't seen any armadillo in here. But I have seen tortoises running around. And the ground here is sand. Now I'm kind of south middle of Georgia. I'm not all the way south. The bottom of the Okefenokee Swamp is on the border with Florida. So I'm on the northern end of it. But there's sand here, which makes driving the tent stakes in easy. But they also come out easy. All right. Get busy and start helping with the Great Commission. That hasn't changed. There are more people now that need to hear about this because we're about ready to leave. And we're going to leave this behind to people who, as we leave, are not Christians. They may look at things later on, but they're not. Okay. Till we meet in the clouds. God bless. Okay, I don't really have much of a Bible study, but I did want to read you the scriptures that I'd mentioned. So turn with me to Matthew 28, and we're going to look at I'm going to start in 18 because I don't like reading out of context. And Jesus came and spoke to them, saying, "All authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth." All authority. That's Jesus. "Go therefore and make disciples of all nations." Again, the use of all. "Baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit," which is, if you're a Christian, you've been baptized that way. "Teaching them to observe all things that I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age." So, that's Matthew's last quote from Jesus at the very end of the book. We have plenty to do. We just have too many people that are afraid to do it. It's not your fault. Everybody has that. A number of years ago, I couldn't have made these videos. So God prepared me for it. I got involved in the film industry that helped me to get in front of people. You don't have to go that far. In fact, you don't have to move to Georgia. I moved here thinking I was leaving California, and it followed me here. God had a plan, and he wasn't going to let me get away with it. But I mean, you can volunteer at church. Your church probably either has or wish they had a ministry to go around and talk to people. They always need Bible teachers. They probably have at your church that you go to, and you better be going to one because I prove you can. But at your church, you probably have a regular Bible teacher for your age group. And if it's a big enough church, you've got them, for different age groups. All the way from the kids, all the way up to adults. And I really don't like being in my age group because I don't act my age. But sometimes I will. In any case, find a place where you can be a part of. Once you're there for a little while, tell them, you'd be happy to take over for them anytime that they've got to be out. We're human, and you can't make something up like that where you can be 100% on target every day. Things happen. Family members get sick. You get sick. In today and age, if anybody's sick, they really need to stay home so they don't spread it. It may not be the big C, but it may be the big F. whatever it is, especially at my age group. It's not good to bring sickness into my age group, believe me. Now, I never got the big C because I got vaccinated, and I said a word I shouldn't have said. I got the, but I'm all for it, doing what we can to help people, but not going crazy. Some of what we did was crazy. All right. That's really all I have to add to this. I got a little bit of, tiny bit of footage. These last few videos I've made shorter because I noticed that people are not watching as much. You may be watching all the way through, but it looks like most people have about a 15-minute attention span. At least that's what it looks like on mine, so I'll try to keep my videos shorter. All right. Keep smiling. Don't look at what's going on outside and worry about it. In fact, the worse it gets, the closer we are. If that doesn't make you smile, I don't know what does. We have some high watch days from me, not from the other guys. Halloween would be a high watch day for me. It's Satan's show. He's getting ready to take over. Always within God's control. We have the rules set down in Revelation. We know what they can do and what they can't. But he's getting ready to take over. Now, if it's not Halloween, it might be Thanksgiving, it might be Christmas. He wants to crash somebody's party. He wants to come after us when we're not looking, when we've let our guard down. So keep watching with me. I think November is a big month. Seems to me I keep getting that from God. Every time I ask him, he says November. So I don't, Halloween is on the 31st. And if it's a typical day, it starts on the evening of the day before and goes into the next day. That's how a Jewish day is. So if we're looking at it that way, and people go out partying well into the night and into the next day. So I did mention in one of my videos recently, watching Walter, the Jeff Dunham puppet. And Walter goes, I really don't like taking my wife to the movies. She always falls asleep halfway through the movie. Then I have to go back the next day and get her. So whenever you're talking about a day, always go into the next day. If you don't like my humor, I'm sorry. God gave me the sense of humor that I've got, so he's got one just like it. But first off, he made all of us. And if that isn't humorous enough, he made the platypus just to confuse the scientist. You have a beaver with a duck's bill that lays eggs. What kind of a nightmare would that be? It's not. It's one of God's creations. And we're to love all of his creations, including the rest of the people on this planet who may not love you back. God came for everybody. So get out there and talk to at least a couple of them before we get out of here. Do it for me, but more importantly, do it for Jesus. Okay, God bless. Okay, everybody, I'm going to do some Be Real to add to this. Here's a nice little hole. And you see the smoothness of the sand, and that's what this ground is sand going into that hole. That's an active one. I don't have enough light to see in there. It's probably empty. And there's another one over here that's not being used currently, I don't think, because the ground around it's not disturbed. Those are tortoise holes. That's why this ground is smooth. I don't see any more around. But there are lots of tortoises here. I've seen a couple of them walking across. They're not big. They're like, 12 inches across. They're not the 1,000-year-old ones that we've seen. This is very typical tropical plants. We're part of the Okefenokee swamp area in here, although this is very dry. But again, it's sand. And here's my campsite coming up. I finally got my tarp up. Kind of hard when there aren't trees in all four directions because I don't have my tent poles. I can order them, but the way things have been, the last 3 or 4 orders I've ordered, I'm batting 50%. I guess that's good enough to be in the major leagues, but I don't consider with Amazon that being a good deal. But that's not to keep the rain off, although it will, to keep the rain off that one window and off the door partially. But it's really there to keep the sun off. It's a little bit cooler now, so I can have sun on the door. But on this end over here, when I get hit during the lunch hour, it's pretty hot. All right, time to go inside.